The Little Rascals made the world laugh, but behind the smiles were lives filled with heartbreak, violence, and forgotten pain. David here, what happened to these child stars will completely shock you. Stay with me until the end, and subscribe now for more true Hollywood stories that history tried to bury. The child stars who made the world laugh. Between 1922 and 1944, a man named Hal Roach created something beautiful. He made a show called Our Gang, later known as the Little Rascals. It was a simple idea. Just a group of kids being kids, playing, fighting, laughing, and getting into funny trouble.
My wisdom teeth. So that explains why you're acting so stupid.
Over 22 years, this show made 220 short films and used more than 41 different child actors. What made this show special was that black and white children played together as equals, and this was during a time when America kept races separated. But here is the sad part. Not a single one of these children ever got paid again when the show was replayed on television. No royalties, no residuals, nothing. They gave Hollywood their childhood, and Hollywood gave them nothing back. Many of them left the industry with a famous face but empty pockets, and for some, the real pain was only just beginning. What you are about to hear are the true stories of what happened to these children after the cameras stopped rolling, and I promise you, some of these endings will be very hard to believe. Carl Alfalfa, Switzer fame, chaos, and a violent end. Carl Switzer joined our gang in 1935 when he was just a little boy. Everybody loved him, his messy hair sticking straight up, his funny off-key singing. He became the biggest star the show ever had, but when he turned 12, the show let him go because he was too old. And just like that, the fame was over. Carl tried to keep acting, but nobody wanted him anymore. The boy who once lit up the screen was now working as a bartender, a hunting guide, and a dog breeder just to survive. Then on January 21st, 1959, everything ended. Carl got into a terrible fight with a man named Moses Stilts over a hunting dog and a debt of just $50. During the argument, Stilts shot Carl and killed him. Carl was only 31 years old. Stilts said Carl came at him with a knife and he had no choice. A jury believed him and called it self-defense. The man who killed Alfalfa was never punished. Just $50. That is all it took to end the life of one of the most famous child stars in American history. The kid who once made millions of people laugh on screen could not even get justice after his own death. Darla Hood, a preventable tragedy that broke hearts. Darla Hood was the little sweetheart of our gang. She joined the cast in 1935 when she was only 4 years old, and for 6 years she was the girl every boy in the gang had a crush on, especially Alfalfa. After leaving the show, Darla actually did well in life. She built a good singing career and stayed connected to her fans. By 1979, Darla was working hard to organize a big Little Rascals reunion. She wanted to bring the old gang back together one more time, but then she needed a simple surgery, an appendectomy. But the blood they gave her during the procedure was contaminated. Darla caught hepatitis from that blood transfusion. On June 13, 1979, Darla Hood died suddenly from heart failure caused by the infection. She was only 47 years old, a routine surgery. Clean blood could have saved her, but it didn't. The woman who spent her childhood making people smile never got to see the reunion she was planning. If Darla had lived, what kind of reunion do you think the Little Rascals could have had? Tell me in the comments. Young lives lost too soon. Some of these kids never even got the chance to become adults. Billy Froggy Laughlin was famous for his deep, raspy voice that sounded like a frog. He joined the show in 1940 when he was just 7 years old, wearing thick glasses and making everybody laugh. But on August 31st, 1948, when Froggy was only 16 years old, he was riding a motor scooter and was hit by a truck in La Puente, California. He died right there. A teenager gone before he could even figure out what life was about. Then there was Bobby Weezer Hutchins. His story might be the saddest of all. His own father reportedly kept him hungry on purpose, trying to keep him small so he could stay on the show longer. Jackie Cooper, another Our Gang kid, once said, "You would go to play with Weezer and his father would pull him away." After leaving the show at just 8 years old, Bobby went back to his hometown, worked at a gas station, and then joined the Army Air Forces during World War II. On May 17, 1945, Bobby was killed in a mid-air plane collision during a training exercise in California. He was only 20 years old. And Norman "Chubby" Chaney, the round-faced funny boy who won a nationwide contest to join the show, died after surgery at Johns Hopkins Hospital, related to his weight problems. He was somewhere between 18 and 22 years old. Nobody knows his exact age for sure. For over 70 years, Chubby lay in an unmarked grave in Baltimore until a group of kind people finally raised money in 2012 to give him a proper plaque.
I brought you some candy, too.
Why, Norman.
Not one of them lived long enough to see what their childhood work would mean to future generations. Violence, mystery, and dark final chapters. Not all of these deaths were accidents or sickness. Some were violent and dark in ways that are hard to believe. J.R. Smith was the freckle-faced kid from the 1920s silent films. He left Hollywood, built a quiet life selling paint, and lived to be 87 years old. But in October 2002, his daughter reported him missing. After a long search, his body was found in a desert 25 miles north of Las Vegas. He had been stabbed to death multiple times. Police found out that a homeless man Jay had befriended had killed him, then used his credit card and sold his belongings. An 87-year-old man murdered by someone he tried to help. Then there was Scotty Beckett, the cute boy who wore his baseball cap sideways. After Our Gang, Scotty got big roles in Hollywood films, and everyone thought he would be a major star. But as he grew up, alcohol and drugs destroyed his life. He got arrested again and again. Drunk driving, weapons charges, bad checks. By 1968, Scotty was addicted to prescription drugs and driving an ambulance just to be near the medications he craved. On May 8, 1968, he checked into a nursing home in Hollywood after somebody beat him badly. 2 days later, he was found dead in his room. Pills and a note were found near his body, but the coroner said the exact cause of death was unknown. He was 38 years old. To this day, nobody knows for sure what killed Scotty Beckett. These were not strangers in some faraway place. These were the same little kids who once made you laugh from your living room television screen. Life After Our Gang, The Struggle Beyond Stardom. The hardest part about being a Little Rascal was not the work on set, it was what came after. When these kids grew up and the cameras stopped rolling, most of them had nothing. No education, no savings, no skills for a normal life. Matthew Stymybeard became one of the most loved kids on the show, but as an adult, he fell deep into substance abuse. He fought those demons for years before dying of pneumonia on January 8, 1981, in Los Angeles. He was 56. Billy Buckwheat. Thomas, one of the most recognized faces from the entire series, died of a heart attack on October 10, 1980. He was only 49 years old. Even after death, his dignity was not fully respected. Eddie Murphy turned his character into a comedy sketch on Saturday Night Live.
Brother, I must show my ignorance. Nobody.
And Buckwheat's own son had to write a letter asking Murphy to stop. Richard Mickey Daniels, the original freckle-faced kid from the very first Our Gang films, spent his last 3 years driving a taxi before dying alone in a San Diego hotel room from liver disease at age 55. Gordon Porky Lee was one of the lucky ones who escaped Hollywood and lived a normal life. He reconnected with old castmates at reunion events, but he never got to see Buckwheat again before Thomas died in 1980. These were kids who gave the world so much joy, but the world gave them very little in return. Fame came to them before they could even spell the word, and when it left, it took almost everything with it. Do you think Hollywood today treats child actors any better than it did back then? Drop your honest answer in the comments. The rascals who carried their memories into adulthood. In the middle of all this sadness, there is something worth remembering. Not every little rascal was bitter about their childhood. George Spanky McFarlane, the chubby-cheeked leader of the gang, lived a quiet life after Hollywood. In a 1977 interview, he said something beautiful. "I have no regrets. Even though it was a job, we had a pretty good time making those comedies. As a kid, I had most everything I wanted, and we had a good life. When it was over, it was over. Spanky died of a heart attack on June 30th, 1993, at the age of 64. 1 year later, he was given a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Gordon Porky Lee also held warm memories. He remembered getting ice cream on set and spending time with Buckwheat. "We were partners," he once said about his friendship with Billy Thomas. Sidney Kibrick, who played the bully's sidekick William in the 1930s films, lived the longest of nearly all the Rascals, passing away in early 2026 at the age of 97. He once said, "I think people even today could identify with being a child and being mischievous when life was simple. It was fun, and it made people laugh." These memories prove that even in the darkest stories, small lights of happiness survive. Sometimes the best thing a person can carry from a painful past is one good memory that still makes them smile. Why the tragic deaths of the Little Rascals still hit so hard? So why does all of this still hurt so much after all these years? Maybe because we watched these kids laugh on screen and we assumed their real lives were just as happy, but they were not. Out of the 29 main child actors who appeared in our gang, about 10% were murdered, 7% died in accidents, and another 7% died early from serious diseases. But the truth is, there was no magical curse. The real curse was a system that used children for profit and then threw them away. These kids earned nothing from the reruns that played on televisions for decades. Their faces were put on lunchboxes and t-shirts, and they never saw a single dollar from it. They were given fame before they could walk properly, and then they were left to figure out adulthood completely alone. Alfalfa was shot dead over $50. Darla died from dirty blood. Weezer's own father starved him to keep him small. Froggy was killed at 16. Scotty died in a nursing home at 38, and nobody knows exactly why. These are not just old Hollywood stories. These are real children who lived, laughed, and suffered. And the least we can do all these years later is remember their names. Because if we forget them, then Hollywood truly did win. It took their childhood, their money, and now their memory too. These children gave the world laughter, but their real lives were marked by loss, struggle, and silence. Their stories deserve to be remembered, not forgotten. If this video moved you, subscribe now and stay with us for more untold Hollywood tragedies, hidden truths, and powerful stories that still matter today.